This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so this is what this one's about, the top 10 dream building ideas for success and happiness. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Gamble. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I have a background in traditional business. I'm an affiliate marketer, a network marketer, and a speaker, trainer, and coach through John Maxwell, if you know him. So if you're in direct sales, if you're in network marketing and you've been depressed, discouraged, frustrated, mad, ready to give up, ready to throw in the towel, ready to quit, I can say I've been there too. And this training may be the answer you're looking for. And if not, I'm sure one of our trainings is the answer you're looking for to get you out of the place that you're in. But let's get into this. This is the top 10. And the very first one is, for dream building ideas, a lot of people think dream building has all to do with stuff, cars and houses, and that's part of it. But it's a small part. I typically found that people do not work really, really, really hard for a car, or really, really, really hard for a house. Although when you find the house that you want, you're going to work hard to make sure that that happens. But it's something that goes away very quickly. But I'm going to start with number one, and number one is faith, philanthropy, and contribution. If you look at Maslow's laws, one of Maslow's laws, once you get to the very top, is contribution or helping others. If you look at basic human needs from Tony Robbins goes over this, the basic human needs of every human on the planet. One of the basic human needs is contribution and giving back. So it just makes sense that we'd start out with this. Now, I'm not going to go into the entire training that we do on this, but this is just to give you some ideas of the top 10 areas for dream building. And one of them is, faith, philanthropy. Who are you going to give money to? What would you do? Faith-wise, who would you go help? Contribution, what are you doing? What you're doing for? Who are you going to give to? Who are you going to help out? Next, family and or significant other. Some people have a significant other, some people have family, some people have neither. So you got to fill in the blanks here. But what would you do if you, knocked out and had enough money, knocked out and had enough time, knocked out and had enough security? You've helped everybody else, and now you get to go back and help your family and, do stuff. What would you go do? What experiences would you build? What things would you like to do that you're not doing now? And part of how to live an extraordinary life is getting around extraordinary people who live extraordinary lives. I was not exposed to a lot of people growing up, especially a lot of people who were succeeding at very high levels. Once I got around people who succeeded at very, very high levels, I was amazed at the things that they did for, each other, meaning, family or significant others. I was like, wow, I've never seen a family do that. Wow, I've never seen a significant other do that in a relationship or in a marriage. Just awesome stuff. So, just another hint or idea. Number 3, finance and or investments. What kind of finances would you go into? What kind of investments would you go into? Like, what kind of stuff do you want to own, long term? These are, some it's very motivating, to some it's not motivating. But what I can say is you want to have dreams in every one of these areas, and some of it you're going to have to hire somebody else. You're going to have to hire somebody else to help you out and go through it. Some of them you're going to be able to come up with on your own. Number 4, business and career dreams and goals. Some people have a goal in their business to get to a certain income level. Some people have a goal in their business to hire a certain amount of people or dominate a certain space or have their business, nationwide or worldwide. Career-wise, how far do you want to go in your career? What do you want to do? Some people want to get into a career, some people want to get out of a career. So what are your dreams? What are your goals in those areas? In our seminar that we do, where we break all this down, we actually have you write out a bunch of these reasons. And the reason we're having you write out these reasons in categories is because there's another assignment once you do that helps narrow this down, that gives you unbelievable motivation, that gives you unbelievable drive, that gives you unbelievable focus, and that's what propels you forward consistently. The biggest problem with moving forward consistently is most people, built into your nervous system, I say most people, all people, built into our nervous system is basically a governor, and that governor job is to basically keep you comfortable. It's to take your basic human instinct and make it so, hey, I understand this environment. I understand where I'm at. I'm going to stay right here where I'm at, and I'm not going to step outside of this circle. That's why people go to the same fucking restaurants, the same, the same hotels. They stay at the same chains. They go see the same people. They like the same music. They do not venture out of that little circle. Why? Because your basic human instinct seeks a space of comfort where nothing ever changes. That's built into your nervous system. Now, it's built into your nervous system to keep you alive. That's why it was built that way. The problem is now it's not scary to go to the next town, at least most towns. You can go to the next town, you can go to the next city, you can eat at the next restaurant. That's not, going to, that probably isn't going to take your life. So it allows you to do that, but most people don't do that because of basic human instinct. 5, fitness and or health. Fitness and health are two different things. I mean, you can be really fit and you can run forever. You can be healthy sitting on the couch. I made it a combination of these two things because I believe, if you truly want to be healthy, you want to be fit, and the longer you're fit, the easier life is, right? And that's kind of what the goal is. A lot of people are like, well, I only want to live until the point where I keep moving around. Well, then keep moving around, right? There are certain things you can do at any age. There were studies done in the 70s. I know there were studies done in the 80s and 90s where they actually took elderly out of nursing homes. They actually ran the program in nursing homes and said, is it possible to build muscle? Is it possible to start working out even at that level? Because a lot of people are like, that's it, I can't do this anymore. And they were able to find, yes, it took longer, but it still happened. You were able to develop your body, you were able to develop your mind still at any age. It's scientifically proven. They proved it in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and there's studies going on right now in this field. But if you're not that age, let's get started now with some of the things we could do. So what kind of goals, what kind of dreams would you have for fitness? Is there a class you'd always wanted to take? Is there a flexibility thing you want to take? Is there a strength thing? Is there an amount you want to run, amount you want to ride, amount you want to go? Maybe it's just health. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to look better. Maybe you want to feel better. Maybe you want to sleep. I have a problem sleeping, obviously. So that moves on to number 6, which is friends or friendship. Now, friends or friendship doesn't necessarily mean finding new friends, but friends or friendships, like, what would you want to do with the friends that you do have? I've learned a lot from John Maxwell. And John Maxwell says, how do I make experiences for other people better? And, I know partly he does it to stand out and be who he is, but he does it because he truly enjoys it, and it also affects other people. So, he just remembers and does kind of the coolest things. He'll find old pictures of 25 years ago when they, hung out and did stuff, and he puts together a photo album. And when he goes to visit them, he drops off this photo album. It's like, man, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember this? And, he saves stuff, tickets, books, concerts and things that he's gone to, and he hands those back to the people that, he's known for years. Just kind of like nostalgia based stuff. If he finds that a person loves a certain person, or a certain team, I saw Gary Vaynerchuk do this. Vaynerchuk's great at this too, is Gary found out this certain guy loved this particular football team. So Gary went online and found a signed jersey. I mean, it was a couple $100, but he found the signed jersey and he bought it and sent it to this guy with a thank you, letter, and said, hey, I read this article, I read this book, you were inspirational, I loved what you said, and here's a gift for you. Guess what? Gary got the meeting with that Fortune 500 company CEO, and then later signed a deal. He goes, what was the ROI of me paying attention to what these people like and sending out? I mean, it's huge. Now, you don't have to do it to get a deal. Maybe you just want to do it to be the best person you can be, to live a more successful, happier life. And I think that's what most of us are going for. Number 7 is education and growth. Again, we go back to Maslow's law. Once you solve basics, once you solve safety and security, once you solve belonging, then it's ego. Ego basically is growth. It's like, hey, what can I do? What can I learn? What can I figure out? That's where education and growth come in. What do you want to learn? We were just talking the other night when we were down in Tennessee, we were talking about language, and we were talking about the languages that we should all learn. You know, we were talking about, hey, it would be really cool to learn Spanish. And then we got into this whole conversation about, you know, Portuguese and Italian and French and the Latin languages. And I was like, from what I understood from the Latin languages, Latin is the base, and then the least developed of the Latin languages is Portuguese, and then I believe it's Italian, and then it's French, and then it's Spanish. Spanish is actually the most developed of the Latin languages, just because there's so many dialects, etc. You know, we were talking about the difference between Mexican Spanish, Cuban Spanish, Castellano out in, you know, in Spain, etc., etc. How different all of those, you know, how you talk and the accents and stuff. And then we were talking about programs online that you could go online and learn these languages. And I was like, well, that'd be really cool. We should learn all the Latin languages. Wouldn't it be cool to understand Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese? I mean, can you imagine the friendships you develop? Could you imagine the places you could go and the people that you could meet and the things you could do just by learning the language? And people like, oh, but I'm not that good at language. Horseshit. You've watched every movie that's come out in your thing. You remember, you're like, oh, I just can't remember stuff. But you remember everything that happened in your show. You remember everything that happened in your play. You remember exactly when the next show comes out. It's just a matter of interest, right? What if it was tied to your income? What if it was tied to your happiness? What if it was tied to your success you're going to have in life? Does it make you think about this from a network marketing standpoint? Does it make you more attractive? Hey, everybody in my family speaks 5 languages. You're like, what? How? You're like, oh, well, while everybody else was watching these dumbass shows on TV, figuring out who the next person was that was going to marry their brother's uncle's grandma's dog, we were actually learning Spanish. Or whatever you want to learn. You know, it doesn't have to be that. Maybe you want to learn physics. You know, I looked up one day on the Khan Academy. The Khan Academy is actually a college online where you can just go take any classes. And I was learning about thermodynamics. Why was I learning about thermodynamics? Because somebody mentioned thermodynamics and physics, and we watched the Big Bang Show. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I've heard this before. I know that, you know, the 5 laws of thermodynamics. And I just went on and was learning about that. Energy doesn't go away. It just gets transferred, et cetera, et cetera. You can go learn anything. Now, that might not interest you, but what are you interested in? What would attract more people? What would open doors for you? Growth and education. Next is entertainment. Entertainment's kind of, you know, a pretty simple one. If you get to go to concerts, if you get to go to shows, if you get to go to movies, if you get to go to destination type places, any type of entertainment, typically people kind of are envious of that. You know, and that's why Facebook blows up. That's why Instagram blows up. That's why TikTok blows up. You know, people at concerts and at these different shows and at these different events and at these different movie premieres, whatever it is, you know, it's super, super attractive. But what do you want to do? What entertainment do you want to, you know, learn, be involved in, see, be a part of, maybe? Entertainment wise. So that's number 8. Number 9, we finally get to the one that most people think this is, which is material. You know, maybe you do want a car. Maybe you do want a new house. Maybe you do want new clothes. Maybe you want stuff. You like jewelry. You might like electronics. You might like home theater systems. You might like outdoor stuff, you know, a garden, a koi pond. You know, we were talking about all the crazy stuff that you can put in your house the other day. We were talking about going to IKEA. Oh my gosh, talking about material stuff. IKEA has a little bit of everything, right? I mean, you can get a plant, you can get some meatballs there, you can get a couch, you can build a kitchen. You can do a lot of things in IKEA, and it takes forever to get in and out of there. But material things, what do you want? Wouldn't it be cool to have a list that you could just check off and just be like, you know, next, next, next? Some of us do this, you know, we have shoes that we want, or we have a coat that we want, or a shirt that we want. Some people do it with cars. Some people do it with boats. Some people do it with planes. Like I've read about, you know, I don't know them, but I've read about people that are collecting planes, right? Like they like planes. They're like old 1970s prop propeller planes. They like, you know, the first jets and, you know, Lear made, et cetera, et cetera. Now they own the really big ones. Obviously, if you're collecting planes, you probably do financially really well. But it doesn't have to be cars and planes. Do you like watches? Do you like antiques? You know, we went down to Brown County in Indiana, there was a lot of antique shops on the way down. And some people just love antiques. You know, we were looking at real estate today, and we were in a house that was built in the 1800s, and it still had the original fireplace from when it was built in 1883, I think is what the date was. Still had that original coal fireplace, still had the tile from the 1800s. It's still together. I mean, you know, most houses fall apart in like 5 minutes. This stuff is still around over 100 years later. It's awesome. But material. And last but not least, travel. What I found is people who get into business, when you say, hey, if you had all the money and you had all the time, what would you do? And most people are like, I would love to travel. I'd love to go somewhere. I'd love to go someplace. You know, I want to experience different environments. I want different people, different food, different culture, different music. Travel is absolutely amazing. And it's one of the things that will attract a lot of people to what you're doing. It's not about spending a lot of money to go travel. People are like, oh my God, I don't have enough money to travel. Trust me, if you have enough money to watch your show every night, you know, and you're binge watching stuff on the weekend, you can figure out a way to build your business where you don't have to go out of the country. You start locally. Hey, what park can you go see? Hey, what waterfall can you go see? You know, hey, what unique thing is around? Guys, there's a lot of stuff around you that you probably are unaware of just because you haven't researched, you haven't put it in front of you. So travel is the last one. And before I go any further, these are just 10 areas, right? They're 10 areas. There's more areas than this, but these are the basic 10 areas to start building your dream. And as you build your dream, you attract more people. There's a phrase in the book, Think and Grow Rich, that says, be careful saying you don't want much, because people who don't want much if you don't want much, you don't need much, then there's no reason for people to get in business with you. Why? Because you don't need anything, right? It actually hinders your growth. In the book, Think and Grow Rich, it says desire is one of the main things that you need to build, and you need a white hot burning desire. And if you have a low desire, it's like a small fire. A small fire gives off a small amount of heat. If you want to give off a big amount of heat, you have to build a giant fire. The giant fire is desire. That giant fire is your dream and your goal. So with that being said, I have a suggestion for you. Join our community. Join our community that we're putting together. It's at joinmyleadershipnetwork.com. You can go over there to that site, fill out a profile, join the community. Yes, there's products to buy, whether it's lead programs or coaching that you're needing or certifications that you want to get, knowledge to be able to recruit, to be able to team build, to be able to build events, to be able to grow faster and bigger. With that being said, the best trained team always wins. So let's lock arms and go get some goals and dreams. Thank you.